Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lynne Seigler. I'm president of the Women's Club of Ocoee, and on behalf of the Women's Club, I would like to welcome you to the 2019 Political Forum sponsored by the Women's Club of Ocoee. The Women's Club of Ocoee would like to thank the City of Ocoee for their usual and utmost cooperation in being able to conduct this political forum in the city's facilities. Thank you also to the city clerk and the community relations department for coordinating all the little details that make this event come together so beautifully. On behalf of the Women's Club, I would like to let you know that our moderator this evening will be Sue Lowry. Working the computer will be Cheryl Applegate. The telephones will be Michelle Applegate. And our runners and greeters tonight will be Mary Black, Doris Druid, Lillian Laster, Dodie Palakas, and Diane Bonanno. Our review panel will consist of Judy Lewis and myself. At the podium is our timekeeper, Patty Leroy, who will be managing the clock with the help of Melanie Sibbett, the city clerk, and Diane Bonanno will be in charge of the 1-minute cards. Sue Lowry will be taking the questions and asking them of the candidates. At this time, I would like to turn the forum over to Sue. Sue?
Good evening. The Women's Club of Ocoee has held forums for several decades in order to provide the citizens of the community with an opportunity to hear the views of the political candidates that are running for elected office. We, as an organization or as individual members, provide this for you with an unbiased view. We are thankful to the City of Ocoee for the use of their facility. As a reminder, the City of Ocoee has asked us to inform you that they do not endorse any candidate or authorize the use of the city logo, nor does the Women's Club of Ocoee. The format for the political forum for the audience and reviewers will be as follows. The questions to the candidates will be written. Citizens in the audience will complete a form and present it to the member of the Women's Club. You should have received a form as you entered this evening. One question per form. If you need a form, raise your hand and a member of the Women's Club will get you one, and after you have completed it, contact a greeter and it will be collected from you. All questions to the candidates will be reviewed by a committee from the Women's Club prior to the questions being asked by the moderator. This is done to avoid any repetition, statements, or questions of personal nature, and to present the widest variety of subjects on the issues. This rule will be strictly enforced, and we ask everyone's cooperation. All the call-in and emailed questions will be written out by the members of the Women's Club and delivered to the review committee. The political forum will end no later than 7:45 p.m. Therefore, not all questions may have time to be presented. If you have anything you would like to speak with the candidates about, you might contact them personally at a later date. We ask the audience to refrain from any applause, gestures, or verbal comments during the forum. If these requests are not followed, you will be asked to leave. At the conclusion of the forum, there will be an opportunity to applaud all the candidates in appreciation of their willingness to serve our community as an elected official. The forum will be televised on Spectrum Channel 493, at which time questions from the residents may be called in during the broadcast at 407-554-7118. For those wishing to email their questions, the email address is citizens@ci.ocoee.fl.us. Live stream, go to the city website, www.ocoee.org, go to quick links, and select live stream. This contact information will be shown across the screen several times during tonight's presentation. I will now introduce the candidates and then go over the format for the candidates for the forum. Running for District 1 is incumbent John Grogan and challenger Larry B. Brinson Sr. Candidates will begin with a 3 to 5 minute presentation according to the following format. Introductions of yourself and your family, educational background, present or former occupation, number of years you have lived in Ocoee, your political platform to include ideas for the future of Ocoee, plans to accomplish them. The candidates will have 2 minutes for each answer. We have strict time constraints to offer in order to allow us as many questions as possible within the forum. At the conclusion, if desired, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a final statement. We will now begin with the opening statements and will follow with the questions from the citizens of Ocoee. District 1, Commissioner John Grogan.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, forgive me if I get emotional. When I sat down to write my opening statement, I could not help but reflect emotionally on the great progress we've made over the last 6 years. Because of that, I have chosen to read a statement. I love this place. My teenage daughter was born and raised here. My wife works here. I came here 6 years ago full of ideas, and together with a great existing commission, we have managed to unify and improve so many things here. To open, I would like to thank the Ocoee Women's Club for hosting this event and being a type of civic partner that is constantly looking to help keep Ocoee citizens informed. I also would like to thank my opponent, Larry Brinson, for his desire to serve in the community. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Grogan. I am a proud resident of Ocoee and am supported by my wife, Michelle, who is a detective with the Ocoee PD, as well as my son, Harrison, who works in Ocoee, and my daughter, Isabella, a proud student duly enrolled at the Ocoee High School and Valencia College. I've been proudly served this community as a commissioner for the last 6 years. Many of you may not know this, but I had the pleasure of volunteering for the city the previous 10 years prior. During that time, I have learned a lot, I have seen a lot, and I have managed to meet new citizens every day. I also served as interim mayor after the resignation of the late Mayor Vandergrift and saw the city through the eventual election of Mayor Johnson. When I first arrived as a new commissioner, things were not so great economically. The city was in the midst of recovery from the recession that happened after the real estate market bubble burst. There were a number of vacant foreclosed homes in the city. The commission was working tirelessly to minimize the impact to the citizens, but there was a lot of harmony that was not going well on the board. I worked very hard with the city manager, as well as my fellow commissioners and Mayor Johnson, to help lead this city in a strategic direction, one that could allow us to define a cause to help our city, to rally our commission, to work together, and to lead us into a more prosperous time. We managed to get this done. Through this hard work, we have managed to lower the ad valorem rates for the past 6 years. In the past 2 years, we have seen the most economic growth in the city history. What does all that mean? Economic growth? That we can rely less on the citizens' taxes from their ad valorem homes and collect more taxes from the businesses. As this continues, we should be able to lower the taxes again and again. So that is one side of the coin. I hate to do this now, but my opponent is using a campaign slogan that describes my tenure as commissioner. Citizen, not politician. I'm talking about the other side of the coin from the accomplishments that we've enjoyed as a city. The other side is listening to issues that citizens have and being responsive to addressing their needs. I have spent 90% of my time being responsive to citizens' inquiries, meeting with citizens that have issues, and helping them get them resolved. Let's face it, that is what being a commissioner is about, communicating with the citizens and making decisions that are in the best interest of their prosperity. I think I have proven time and again to the citizens that if you have any issue, I will respond quickly, and I will help get them resolved. I have interacted with hundreds of citizens over the past term, and if you know me, I am a man of the people and believe strongly in being a voice and a conduit of helpful information. I give equal energy to helping citizens with their issues that I do with the glamorous big-ticket items. I am here today to tell you that things have gone very well for the city during my previous terms. I have accomplished much, and in seeing the economic rewards for our efforts with the downtown revitalization, CRA growth, transportation and park improvements, award-winning water utility, and the addition of thousands of jobs. Vote for me in March continues the streak of the good things coming to the citizens of Ocoee. Thank you.
Candidate Larry B. Brinson, Sr.
I did not write a prepared statement. However, I will like to talk about who I am. I served in the military, spent some time there, but I think I was fairly successful in that I grew up to become the Aviation Operations C4 Chief for the Marine Corps. There was only one of us, and I was it. So I was successful in that. Whilst there, my last term assignment, I was assigned to the Pentagon. For those of you who do not know, I was there in the Pentagon doing 9/11. So I know how government works. I really do. I know because I also managed a $700 million budget whilst at the Pentagon. So I understand finances and understand how the relationships and negotiations work. I'd like to thank the incumbent, Commissioner Grogan. I think he's done a good job being a commissioner, but I think there's also some things that I can do as well. I'd like to thank my wife and my family and friends and the citizens and residents for coming out today to hear us. In business, after I retired from the service, I went into corporate America. Again, I think I was very successful there as well, in that I was able to rise to a place where I was a regional VP, where I took care of 7 states. So I did a lot of traveling. So again, I tell you that I've been successful in everything I've touched, not because it's by happenstance, but because I put the work in. If people ask me something and I did not know, I went back and I found out, and then I immediately got back with that person or with that organization or with that group to ensure that their questions were addressed. I don't think that the people in Northwest part of the district feel that way. I live in Western Bay, and I know I don't feel that way. I've done many things to help try to improve the communities I've lived in. I do serve on the Human Relations Diversity Board currently. We're doing some wonderful things there. I think the mayor here is doing some wonderful things with the city. However, just because someone is doing okay or doing good doesn't mean that there shouldn't be more changes. And I think I'm the person to make those changes. In Ocoee, I've been in Ocoee. I guess I first moved to Ocoee in 2006. And so I've been in Ocoee for a little while, and I've seen some changes. Since the time I first got here to 2019, I think there's been a marked good change in Ocoee. I think we're headed in the right direction. I do believe that. But I think the folks up in my neck of the woods, if you will, the taxes we pay as opposed to other parts of the district, we don't see the benefit of those taxes. And I think that's something that's we've been ignored. And I think though we're going to address those things further, I think that's something that causes me to sit before you today asking you to help me help the city of Ocoee.
Okay, the first question is for Commissioner Grogan. Nearly all of the new housing developments in Ocoee is slated to occur in the far northern reaches of town. over 2,000 homes, mostly in District 1. Other than the Fuller's Crossing, only partially funded by the city, how have you worked to see that the property taxes collected there will be spent there?
Well, property taxes collected throughout the city go into the general fund and all the funding for projects in the city. Needs that come up throughout the district will get attention. For instance, the Fuller's Cross. We worked very, very diligently with the county, since it's been a county road, and made many concessions to have this road widened, which is in the process now. The schooling, the Orange County Public Schools wanted to have a school put in when Weston Bay was built. That is still not on their 5-year plan. However, I managed to get 2 schools, award-winning schools, put up in District 1. The Montessori School and the school beside the Publix Mall, which everybody is using and loves, and is growing quickly. So the money being spent up there is relevant to progress that's happening up there. And when the need arises, then the money is spent up there. But to say that money collected from a district gets spent back in that district, that's not necessarily how it works. Thank you.
Candidate Brinson, this question is for you. Your handout says citizen, not politician. Does that mean if someone gets elected, they then become a politician?
Well, I think by default, you're a politician because that's the label that people put on someone who's elected to office. But unfortunately, oftentimes politicians are expected to behave and act and vote a certain way. And so I'm not saying that if, now that I'm a citizen, not a politician, that if I get elected, I will continue to be a citizen, not a politician. That doesn't fit. But what I am saying is that I don't do or think or say something that's politically correct. I do what my mom would always say, right is right, and I try to do that.
Okay, this question is for both Commissioner Grogan and candidate Brinson. Winter Garden and Apopka have a robust downtown. What have you done and what is your plan for a robust downtown Ocoee?
Okay, great questions, and I'm glad that was asked. While I was acting mayor, following past Mayor Vandergrift, we had bonded $35 million. Added to that were other monies from the water department, sewer department, and other monies that were granted to us by the St. John's Water Management, with a total of $44 million. We are revitalizing and rebuilding the downtown. With this, we're moving City Hall, which is, if you look around, it's literally falling apart, literally. Building a new City Hall is the anchor for the downtown up on the corner of McKee Street and Blueford. We had designated we have already done the streetscape, as you can see. We've already been putting money to it. We're already redoing the first phase of the downtown right in front of the Lakeshore Center here, and expanding the Lakeshore Center. So the economic development that we are doing, the money we're putting in here, is starting a brand-new downtown for the city of Ocoee. We are not using one street like the other 2 cities you mentioned use for their downtown. We're learning from what they have done, and we're gaining from learning from them, where we're putting in a 4-block downtown, which is going to be much longer to build out. There'll be much more stores, restaurants, offices, buildings there to enhance the lifestyle of the citizens of Ocoee. And it's going to be a great thing happen, and most of this building will be done in the next 2 years. Thank you.
Candidate Brinson?
I think we need a vibrant downtown. I don't think we should go much further down the road without one. The question is, and will always be, how do you fund it? How do you pay for it? There's always a public-private partnership that's an option, and I think I would use that as an option. Having all this government money that's really just tax revenue coming in to fund these projects is a great and wonderful thing, except for what happens when your tax revenue gets low. having companies and having developers come in and ensure that they are part of our growth. They are part of the infrastructure improvements. They are part of the capital improvements. They are part of the things that we want to see happen in the city of Ocoee. Ocoee has a lot of empty space, a lot of square miles that are empty. We can put that property to use. But when we bring these companies in, we need to let them know that we expect infrastructure improvements. We expect them to do things that make sense, not only for them, not only for the government, but also for the residents, the taxpayers, and the homeowners for the city of Ocoee.
May I make a statement on that?
Yes.
The downtown plan that we have, that we involve the citizens in for the last 2 years, we are not using any tax money. We are not raising any taxes to do this work. This is all bonded money. This is all done without raising your taxes, just so we all know. Thank you.
Are you saying that there's no tax dollars being used for those projects?
We did not add any, I'm not saying that there are no tax dollars used, but we have not raised any tax money and don't plan on it for this project to be completed.
Again, I think that's a play on words. Even though that there's no taxes being raised, there's tax dollars being used for those projects, and which I don't have a problem with in and of itself. My only concern is ensuring that any developers that come in, whether they're building warehouses, whether they're building single-family homes, are ensuring that we are getting benefited just as they are being benefited from that growth.
Hi, I'm Rosemary with the Women's Club. I think I'm just going to ask one thing. As we're going along, if we will just have a 1-minute rebuttal, if there's rebuttals at this point, after the question's been asked and both have answered it, if you don't mind, if we can just change that to having 1-minute rebuttal, because we'll be moving on to other questions at that point also, okay? And I know you'll have time at the end to make other comments. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, this question is for Commissioner Grogan. What have you done in the last 5 years in District 1?
First thing, what I worked with Western Bay on one of the very first project was, at the time, President Seigler had come to me about a problem that he was having with his trees in the sidewalks, actually between the sidewalks and the streets. At the time that that was being developed, what had happened is that there was a ordinance with the city that the new developers had to plant treescape trees in that area. After 2 years, the city has grown, and after 2 years, the city took that back, that ordinance back, and did not require developers to do that for the reason of what's been happening. It tears up the sidewalks. With that, I got together with Mr. Seigler. We put together a plan. We negotiated with the city, talked to the management, the planner, and everybody, and we were able to back that up where they did not have to follow that rule. So we allowed that to happen. At that point in time, everything that was done by the Western Bay management that handled the rest of it. I also put together an extension, or should I say the full value of a tax rebate for veterans, which the city of Ocoee only did about 12% of, but the county, which was a county rebate, and the county did the 25%. And I was able to put that through so that they get the full values back on their taxes. The schools, like I mentioned earlier, there was lacking schools. Orange County Public Schools had slated to build 3 more schools up there, elementary school, middle school, and a junior high school. They did not come through, and as of today, if you go on their website, you will see that the 5-year plan, they still do not have that on there, even though they still own the same property they did when Western Bay was being built. I was able to get the Renaissance School up there, and I also got the Montessori School there. That's further down, up in District 1, which is fully staffed and fully loaded. Thank you.
This question is for both of you, and candidate Brinson, you will have the first response. As a community volunteer myself, could you explain your community volunteering in the past 5 years, not related to your employment or to a seat on the commission?
Sure, I think I probably should kind of start backwards. Currently, I sit on, as I mentioned earlier, I sit on the Human Relations Diversity Board for the City of Ocoee. I also work with the Boy Scouts. I also work with the YMCA. I also work with the Urban League and the NAACP. And I also worked, and I sat on the board, actually, of a mentoring group called Wake Up Mentoring. I also was affiliated with the Orlando Police Department's Operation Positive Direction, which I refer to as OPD's OPD. So I'm deep in the community. I've done a lot of networking in the community, community activist, if you will. I've gone around to include, but not limited to, signing people up to vote. So I'm out there in the community. I think what I'm going to say, if I have my finger on the pulse of the community.
Commissioner Grogan?
Yes. Right now, I'm a trustee for the Wounded Officers Initiative program set up to help wounded officers, which was done by, actually organized by a couple officers that used to work here in the City of Ocoee. Fabulous, fabulous organization. All of my volunteering was done for the city before I became commissioner. As a commissioner, we consider it as a full-time job. That takes up an enormous amount of time. There's not a time, even while I'm at work, I have a full-time job also, I work for Walt Disney World. And on my time there, I accept calls. When I get home here in the city, I'm visiting people, up, sitting on my porch when people stop by, come up to talk to me about issues here at City Hall and all the events that the city has. That takes up all of my time right now. So I transfer it over, even schooling. Once I became a commissioner, I had stopped schooling on the side, on the professional side that I was doing. And the continuing education that we do now is basically through the city when we go to the National League of Cities or the Florida League of Cities where they have the classes. Thank you.
Commissioner Grogan, this question is for you. What are the property taxes in Northwest District 1 as to other areas in the district?
The same. There is absolutely no difference in the property taxes throughout this city. The difference people might be feeling is that up in the north side of District 1, there are some very well-off houses, Western Bay being one area where the houses can range up at around $400,000. The property values of the homes have been going up every year, which is a great thing. As long we try to lower the taxes to try to compensate the growth of the value of your home as best we can. As of the actual values, they are the same throughout the city. We set a millage rate that does not change for anybody in the whole city.
This question is for both of you. Commissioner Grogan, you will have the first response. Central Park has some issues. Could you explain how you will solve the problems in this park?
Do we have any specifics on what issues anybody might be talking about?
No, that's the entire question.
Well, quite frankly, I don't see many issues there, or none have been brought to my attention. That is one of our premier parks. It is the Central Park, as it's called. We have the ball fields there, we have the football field there, volleyball court there. We have basketball courts there that we have the lights on almost every night. Park is always full. There's a great gazebo, a fishing dock on the lake. All of these amenities are very, very well kept. It's a gorgeous place. Even the city, we use the Parks and Rec, will help with the grasses of the parks, of the ball fields. They are some of the best ball fields to play on in Central Florida. And we just partnered up with the Little League and helped them with the monies to put up a new scoreboard. They also have a pitching field, a batting cages. I personally am not aware of any problems that have been brought to my attention to resolve.
Candidate Brinson?
Yeah. I'm kind of with Commissioner Grogan on this. I don't know of any issues that I've heard from the community regarding Central Park. But if there are issues, I'm of like-minded that those issues, they do need to be addressed, whether they addressed with Parks and Recreation or whether they come to the commission so that the commission can actually hear what is the issue and be able to take action. It's kind of hard to take action if you don't know what the issue is.
True. Well stated.
Okay, Commissioner Grogan, this question is for you. Ocoee's mill rate is 5.5 compared to 4.0 for Apopka and 4.5 for Winter Garden. In all three cities, the proportion of residents and businesses is very comparable. Why are our taxes so high?
Stats-wise, they may look like that on paper, but technically they are not. Ocoee has been known as a bedroom community. We have not had this growth nor had gotten any of the monies and revenues from businesses as we have in literally this past year. I had a discussion with the city manager on this, and we're doing extremely well. In the past, all we had was bedrooms. Now, what you need to understand is the more we grow with the bedrooms, you think that we have more taxes. We get more revenues. However, the more homes you have, the more police you need to hire, the more firemen, the more garbage trucks, the more roads we have to take care of. So it is not an environment that is self-sustaining. We need business, we need development, which is what we've been working on diligently since I've been in there. And the rewards are just starting to come in, literally just starting to come in now with all the growth that we've had here and all the development. Like we said, the most development in the last 2 years than in the history of this city. So now we're starting to balance on putting in revenues from business and pulling in revenues from homeowners. And we want to tip the balance so that the homeowners pay less and get more from business, is what we're after right now.
This question is for both of you, and candidate Brinson, you will have the first response.
May I respond to what the commissioner said?
You have 1 minute.
Okay, those are some of the issues, what the commissioner is talking about, that I'm talking about. And that is bringing businesses to Ocoee. We have the space. I think, where I'm from, I have a mind where you don't wait for businesses to knock on your door. You go out there and actively seek it. If they decide to move somewhere else and plant their flag somewhere else, then so be it. But getting people to bring their organizations here, whether their headquarters here or whether it's an offshoot of their headquarters, we need to be active on that. Not saying that the commission and the government, the City of Ocoee is not doing that, but we have a lot of space. And in the last 5 years or so, they may be starting to feel and see some of the work that they've done in the past. I'd like to see more.
North-South road infrastructure. There are only 3 limited roadways from North Ocoee to downtown and the central business sector. What are you proposing to do to improve that situation, especially in the section of McGuire between Colonial and Franklin, which is becoming choked with traffic due to all the warehouses being built? Candidate Brinson, you have the first response.
Again, when you have, I feel like I'm a tape recorder, but when you have development coming in, getting that negotiation on the front end is the way to go. You don't build, when they put in the development, they don't build the homes and then build the roads. They put the roads in first, then they build up the homes. That same concept should be for anything that's coming out of the ground. So whether it's an industrial park, whether it's a commercial building, or whether it's a subdivision being built, the surrounding infrastructure needs to accommodate that home, that growth. If you're putting in 2,000 more homes at 2 cars per home, that's 4,000 cars on the road. After the homes and the buildings, businesses have been built, then you're going to go to the residents and the homeowners and the visitors of Ocoee to say, hey, also bear with us while we widen these roads, while we do infrastructure improvement, whilst we put street lights on these dark roads. Ocoee, Apopka may belong to the county, partly may belong to the city, but in 7 o'clock in the evening, during this time of year, that road is dark. 10 people can walk down that road and you not see them if there's not a car coming. Children walking on this road, going to high school. Children stand on this road waiting for the school bus in the morning. That's problematic. We must do something to help with our infrastructure improvements, to include streetlights.
Commissioner?
That all sounds great. We would love to build all the roads, make them wide, build them all before the business comes. However, it's not how it works. It's not practical, it's not feasible, and it's not economical. The city is not an open piggy bank. We don't have funds for that. And let me explain a little bit how it does work. As a business comes in, the first thing when a business would do, first of all, is run a study. They have professionals, they do it, and the city will hire their own to do it and have traffic studies done by professional engineers. That's their job. They will calculate the runs in the road, how many times that people will be on the roads, at what time of the day they'll be on the roads. And sometimes when you run over those rubber hoses that are across the road, which I know everybody's run over, that's what's being done on that road. That road, whether it's on a small side street or whether it's going down a main drag, they're getting data from that. We collect impact fees. When a business comes in, they also have to give us an impact fee, which is for the road. And depending on what that study says, whether they need a turn lane, a light, a stop sign, whatever that is said by that report that's being made, that's how it will be handled at that time. As more things come, it gets more complicated, more things happen. For instance, Fuller's Cross, which is one thing that we're going to get into a little bit more detail on. But things can get complicated, and there's a way that we have to follow it by law. Thank you.
This question is for both of you, and Commissioner Grogan, you will have the first response. If elected, will you accept the pension the City Commission has given itself after 10 years of part-time service? Mr. Grogan will be eligible after this term. Mr. Brinson must serve 3 terms to be able to do so.
I'm not exactly sure I understand the question. Do you mean that that after, I believe it's 9 years, 3 terms, that they're eligible for a pension?
I can't answer that. I just have the question.
Okay, I don't, I'm not totally up on that. I would like you to know that this is not a job that we take to make money on. I apologize for laughing. Money is the last thing we look at when we do this job. I believe in a year in my taxes, with my tax guy, it's, I think, roughly $5,000 for the year is what is our paycheck. This job is not for the money. If that is a benefit to working up here in a commission for making, I guess at the time it would be 3 terms, but now we go to a 4-year, so it would be, still, I guess it would have to be 3 terms. Yes, I do not. I would accept it. I would hope that all the commissioners would accept it as a benefit for doing their services for the city. And I think it comes out to roughly $100 a month. So, yes.
Candidate Brinson?
Could you repeat the question?
If elected, will you accept the pension the city commissioners have given themselves after 10 years of part-time service? Mr. Grogan will be eligible after this term. Mr. Brinson must serve 3 terms to be able to do so.
My wife is sitting in the audience, so. But You know, I'm funny in that I probably would not accept it after the 10 years or whatever, 9 years it is, only because of even, right now, I think this position is being held out as a part-time position, but I think the candidate, or I'm sorry, the incumbent has mentioned that it's really full-time, but it's still on paper, if you will, it's part-time. And I'm not sure if that sits well with me, having a pension or whatever other benefits that comes along with it is something that I just don't know if that would sit well with me.
Can I make one statement?
You may.
For the record, that was before I became a commissioner. I did not vote on that particular item. I have not seen it, so that was before I started.
Okay, this question is also for both of you, and candidate Brinson, you will have the first response. If elected, will you accept the full medical coverage Ocoee commissioners voted themselves at the expense of Ocoee taxpayers?
My wife is taking a picture of me right now. I think that's incriminating evidence. I'm in a little different scenario than a lot of people who may run for office. I am retired twice. I am also a disabled veteran. And so me having that additional benefit probably doesn't do anything for me. So if I was hard pressed to say, would I take it, I would probably tell you no.
Commissioner?
Again, that was something that was put into the package before I became a commissioner. I don't know how far back it was, but there are two things. First of all, the city is self-insured. We did an unbelievable job at going through this. It started about 10 years ago, and in such that the health care through the city has saved the citizens $8 million. They do a fantastic job. They have their own clinic here. As in what it costs for a family, which is what we were on before I became a commissioner, was, I believe, $25, $50 every 2 weeks is what the cost is for the people that work here at the city. I currently have both. We do have the benefit from the city, after we were on it before, and I also pay for health benefits with Walt Disney World. So I'm covered by both, me and my family and I, and we utilize both.
Thank you. This is also for both, and Commissioner Grogan, you will have the first response. How would you change the expansion of downtown and the city center and the CRA and West Oaks Mall to bring more patrons to the area?
Well, I think by everything, that whole question is what is driving people here. We're going to be vibrant in building this area. There has been years of calculations and studies and very, very, very hard work from this city staff, who is the best people I've ever worked with, to come up with these ways and these ideas and the jobs that we have for the developers, economic developers that work for the city, to bring all this here. Once this building is in full swing and we get all this here, this is going to be a very, very sought-after destination place for people to come to. We got the amenities. We're doing the infrastructure. As you see around the city hall, there is construction everywhere. As you remember, for the last, seemed like a year that the road was torn up out there. By doing all of this and getting all this infrastructure in here, it brings the developers here. That is how it works. That it's all been planned out. This is going to be an enormously successful, very vibrant downtown community that people from outside of Ocoee are going to want to come to.
Candidate Brinson?
I'm going to piggyback off of what Commissioner Grogan said. I think Ocoee is the next destination city in Central Florida. maybe in all of Florida. My wife and I, we love Ocoee. Ocoee has some great and wonderful things going for it. That West Oaks Mall, I'm not sure if that's one of them. And I think that some of the things we have to do is go by the old adage, most things can be handled with a conversation. Why West Oaks Mall got in the predicament it is currently in, I don't know why. I don't know how it became to have so many vacancies. I don't, so many anchor stores leaving. Maybe it's because the Winter Garden Village came about and people took their business there. But there's ways for us to help Ocoee. Winter Garden Village is what it is. So we can't keep looking to them as an excuse or a crutch when we start talking about businesses here in Ocoee. West Oaks Mall is there. We can use West Oaks Mall. We can bring in businesses West Oaks Mall. West Oaks Mall can provide our youth with economic opportunities and jobs. We can do all of those things. And not just that, we also have a municipal golf course that is a destination for Ocoee. We need to make sure that when they finish their 18th hole and they're moving on to the 19th hole, that they keep that business here in Ocoee. They have sit-down restaurants they can go to and converse and talk about that mulligan that guy had or why he shanked it somewhere. We need to make sure that Ocoee is doing those things now, so 5 years from now, we're not going to say, well, we're starting to see the growth. We're starting to see the benefit. If we have those conversations up front, West Oaks Mall should never have gone in the direction it went into, but it did. Let's fix it.
Commissioner?
1 minute rebuttal. First thing is, we're already in negotiations to take back the golf course. And what I mean by take back the golf course is that the golf course is actually leased. The city owns the golf course. The city owns the property. They're in negotiations now to get out of their lease, and they want the city to buy them out of their lease. We are in very strong negotiations. We've already had a very brief discussion over the commission, last commission meeting. Everybody see? So it's very, very good. Very good. We are not going to let that go. As with the mall, I have 1 minute left, and 1 minute is not enough to talk about the mall. But let's just all start with the mall is privately owned. It is a private business. The city cannot dictate, cannot tell them what to do. All we can do is help. We have been talking for 10 years with them, and there are some absolutely great things that are happening up there, including roughly 1,200 jobs have opened up there in the last 2 years. And I can go on more on that, hopefully, if we talk about it.
Okay, this question is also for both of you, and candidate Brinson, you will have the first response. Explain the CRA and the benefits to the community.
Well, I am not too familiar with the CRA, but I do know that when we start developing areas, and the community is going to benefit without question. There's not the CRAs that's been going on around different other towns around, to include Winter Park, has benefited them greatly. And so I think to include City Center, that the CRA is not going to not benefit the city, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's a good thing. Planned development is good. Smart growth is good. I think smart growth is even better. But I think the CRA is a necessary thing.
Commissioner?
Okay. CRA, Commercial Redevelopment Agency. I happen to be the chair on that board. What that board does is it takes blighted areas. We have to get the approval from the county, who done this 10 years ago. It's a 30-year program. We're already into it 10 years. We got 20 years left. And how it works is that, well, first of all, the areas is running along State Road 50 is the areas that we put into this. How it works is the taxes collected, county taxes and city taxes that are collected, a portion of those go back into the CRA. CRA takes that money, and what they will do is they will go back to the businesses that come into these areas, and we will streetscape, beautify, sidewalks, bus stops. We will do a whole bunch of amenities, and we will help them on beautifying their whole area, investing into the infrastructure of the area there to help them and help their business. And we do this with the tax money given back to us from them to begin with. It's a fantastic program, and right now, our CRA has grown 236%. Most of it just in the last 2 years. Again, with all the economic development that this city has put forward, is absolutely tremendous. And I can't wait to do more with this. And you can see some of this already coming to light up there around the hospital and some of the areas that we've done streetscaping to and everything. Great program.
Candidate Brinson?
Yeah, again, I believe the CRA is a necessary thing. I think it's something that municipalities need to have. It's not something that, a municipality should not have. So when we start talking about economic development of an area, start talking about green space, you start talking about bike trails and walking places, when you start talking about things that the citizenry want to have anyway, that's not, to me, it's not something that should be in addition to what you already have. It should be something that's in place. Now, sure, Ocoee is changing and is moving along famously and is very progressive, which is why we live here. The CRA is doing a great job. Don't make no mistake. I believe that it's a great thing to do is to enhance areas, whether it's city center or whether it's your local parks. So it's a great thing to have. Thank you.
1 minute rebuttal? Not a rebuttal, but one comment.
Yes.
It is a necessary thing to have. And I want to remind people that it is something that the state of Florida is trying to get rid of. We fight Tallahassee yearly to stop them from reducing this or stopping this program. It is something we fight all the time. Now, this is where the politician comes in. And that's behind the scenes that a lot of people don't realize exactly the full extent of what we do. Traveling to Tallahassee, fighting these things, talking to the selectmen, the representatives, senators, to get this program continuing. And that is not the only one. There is a lot. There is a lot of work that gets done, and that's why we say this is a full-time job. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now going to go to the 1 minute speed round.
1 minute.
Have to talk real fast.
Are you kidding me?
That's
I'm exhausted already.
This is for both candidates. Over 20,000 people live in Ocoee, yet only less than 1% come out to vote. Why is that? And how do you plan to provide jobs for the growing population? That's kind of a two-part question. Commissioner Grogan.
All right, first of all, it's not fair. That's a 10-minute answer. If somebody out there knows how to get these people to vote, please let me know. That is the magic question. And it's not 20,000. We are a city of 44,000 employees, 44,000 citizens. We balance between the second and third largest community in Central Florida, next to Orlando. We fight with a popka. I don't know what that answer is. I really don't know. I'm sure every politician would love to know why people don't get out to vote. The strongest votes come when there's a presidential election. As we know, more people get out to vote. But it's just been the history, and it's not just here in Ocoee, it's everywhere. You're looking at roughly 10% of your district will come out and vote.
Yeah,
Candidate Brinson.
that is an age-old question in politics, of how to get people out, even for the primary and general elections, is getting people out to vote. I think one of the ways we can do better is having a more robust advertising of the election, especially the elections in March. People, after November, they think that what their civic duty is done. They've gone out and voted in presidential election and congressional elections, and and then they forget about the local elections. It is imperative of us to ensure that at the very minimum, we promote these elections the best way we can. And whether we put them in the bills that go out to people, whether we do email blasts or whether we do phone trees, we got to get that information out because we want the public to come out and vote. Just as when the commission meets, there should be standing room only in the commission when the commission meets. But oftentimes, people don't come out, and that's just the way some people are.
This question is also for both. Candidate Brinson, you will have the first response. What is being done to give homes within the city geographic area to have the one zip code, 34761?
I don't understand. I don't understand the question because I'm under the assumption that 34761 is the zip code for Ocoee.
I've got an answer.
Commissioner?
Okay. Been fighting this for a long time, probably about almost 5 years now. What you might not know is that we have 7 zip codes in our city. Within our city limits, we have 7 zip codes. And I don't know if a lot of people really the people that do not have the Ocoee zip code knows exactly what it means to them. They get different tax rates, or insurance rates, I'm sorry, different insurance rates for their home, for their cars. They get their mail from a different area. They don't get it from Ocoee, they'll get it from Apopka. They'll get it from Winter Garden, they'll get it from Pine Hills, they get it from Gotha, they'll get it from Windermere. To me, I never grew up like that. I've always had one zip code when I grew up until I moved down here. It takes an act of Congress, literally. We have been fighting this. We have bills in the United States Senate and the House of Representatives. We have bills that we've pushed for the past 4 years to push this through the federal government, which is where it has to go to reverse this, to give us one zip code.
This question is also for both of you. You have stated you want to gauge what changes may be needed to attract business to our city. What is your proposal on this matter? Commissioner Grogan, you have the first response.
I did not say that, and not to. We've done all of our gauging. We have done, as a city, we're already moving forward. We have already started that. We have already we're already a couple of runs up the ladder right now. We are actually seeing some of the progress that we've made in the economic development area. We are pursuing that. We have a plan in place. It was, at the time, a 5-year plan. That was 2.5 years ago. We are going to see it through. We are going to do it. More things will be added as we go. Things change as we move. And everything is working out absolutely great. And we hope to get this prosperity going and continuing for the life of the city.
Candidate Brinson?
Yeah, municipal planning is a long-term endeavor. What I refer to as the out years, so we're talking 10, 15, even 20 years out, is some of the things that we should be looking at. And I think the city of Ocoee and the leadership here has been doing that. It is not, we can look around and see the progress. In the last 10 or 15 years, Ocoee has grown considerably. So that's not the issue. However, just because we're growing doesn't mean we're growing that smart growth and at a rate that can be absorbed by what we have to work with. So that's the only question I have is, can we do this and be able to do this and not adversely affect the city? Because the citizenry will be affected by growth because it's by design. But can we do it and minimize that adverse effect on the citizens?
This question is also for both candidates. In the late 1990s, the St. Johns River Water Management System pushed water conservation and gave a 20-year limit toward running out of water. How would you make a decision to add new growth given this knowledge? Candidate Brinson, you have the first response.
That's a very good question, because water is a premium, and that's, where we get water from is kind of like the same as question is where we get electricity from. We must make sure that smart growth takes this into consideration, just like schools. We have to have schools. For me to have a school built, and then that first year the school is built, we have portables sitting outside the school because we have too many students for the school, is ridiculous to me. But that's how growth happens. You plan 5 years out, 10 years out to build a school, and in that time, the growth happens, and you actually outgrow your plan. So having a plan that's scalable is what we need. The St. Johns River management, that's something that we also have to take issue with. How do we grow in Ocoee and yet not bust the budget when it comes to water management?
Commissioner?
One of the things that I think is very unique with the city of Ocoee is their water. Look at your water prices. Look at what you're paying for water. You cannot tell me that this is one of the least expensive places in the state of Florida to pay for your water. Our department is extremely smart. They negotiated a 20-year deal with St. John's Water Management a few years back. That's how we do it. They know that the total growth of this community can grow to 75,000 people. We know that. We've done all the predictions for that. And all decisions that we make in this city are made on those calculations. So we're prepared for it. We know how to do it, and we're doing it. And we're doing a great job at it.
All the remaining questions will be for both candidates. And Mr. Grogan, you will have the first response. Developments cutting down wooded areas, e.g. along Silver Star, Ocoee landings, will you have green areas to offset the clearing of the trees, unimproved wooded buffers, not parks and community playgrounds?
One of the great amenities in this city compared to other cities is our playgrounds, our green areas for our children. We have roughly 14 city parks within our city, 4 in District 1 alone. I take that matter very seriously. We have to manage that. And we have to know that the developers coming in here, that's a priority for them. For the trees that they take down, they have to replant trees, relocate trees. We do have in our ordinances of developing homes is that there are 3 trees that have to be put back in the property. So we have a ways of replanting trees as trees are being removed. As of completely wooded areas that are privately owned, that are developers coming in to modify and to put homes in, that's a very tough decision. They own that property, and they already had plans that were passed to already have that property developed.
Candidate Brinson?
I'm of the same mind. When developers come in and they're going to build out a subdivision, hopefully within that community, they also going to have green spaces in that community for the residents and homeowners of that area. But also when we talk about parks or taking down trees that are currently wooded areas, we need trees. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. We need trees. Trees are the lifeblood of the air we breathe. It cleans the air. So just tearing down trees just to put up, brick and mortar doesn't make sense to me. But if we let those developers come in and we make those developers be beholding to the city ordinance, if you tear down trees, if you cut out trees, replace trees. If you build communities, homes need to have 3 trees on that property. We need that green space. We need parks to replace areas that are, the parks are being removed or the trees are being removed, the walking spaces are being removed.
How would you improve crime, i.e. breaking into vehicles at night, burglary of houses during the day, etc., in your district? Candidate Brinson.
One way, that's a tough question, and I know I have like 50 seconds left. It's the jiggle rule for a lot of these break-ins. You know, people come in and they don't break into the car. They see if the car is unlocked, and so that's one of the issues. You know, make sure that we pushing out to the public. They need to lock their vehicles. They need to make sure that their garage doors are closed. Don't leave stuff that you don't want taken by others out on your lawn or around your community. But another reason why, we have to ask ourselves the root reason why people break into vehicles or people jiggle the doors, and that is because they're looking for stuff so they can sell. Well, if these folks had opportunities for jobs, maybe we can reduce some of that. So the Ocoee is heading in that direction. So if we keep going down that road, I think what we can do is find gainful employment for these folks who are walking around these communities in the middle of the night, jiggling door handles to see if they are ajar.
Commissioner.
Well, we have a great police force. My wife happens to be one of them. Yes, we do. And I'd like to say that they have a program set up, whereas you as a citizen can call them, give them a call, have them come out to evaluate your home. They will do a walk around your home, and they will inform you about areas you can improve on. Things such as lighting, the type of trees or bushes you plant in front of your windows and around your home, like thorn bushes and things of that nature, things you wouldn't think about. How to remove things, obstacles that are in the way when you get in there. So they have a great program set up where they can come out there and help you to reduce this crime. And Mr. Brinson was absolutely right. Lock your doors. Lock your car doors. Most of that crime is done by your neighbors. Kids are walking down, they walk up your driveway, they jiggle your doorknob. He's absolutely right, the jigglers. And if the door is open, it's all an opportunity. Leave your garage doors closed, leave your lights on at night, and leave all your doors locked. That will reduce the crime.
Okay, this concludes the question portion of the forum. At this time, we will ask each candidate to give a 2 minutes for final statements. And Candidate Brinson.
I get to go first. Again, I love Ocoee. I think the Ocoee is moving in the right direction. Without question, without hesitation, I can say that. Some of the things that I love about Ocoee is the fact that it's moving in the right direction, is the fact that it's progressive, is the fact that I can see change happening. One of the things I want to do is continue to help with that. I want to make sure that what we're doing here in Ocoee, others are looking to us to be the example. If we take Ocoee and what we want Ocoee to be, and others can take that template for Ocoee and place it over their municipality, that says a lot about Ocoee. I think that's what we want. What we want is a community that is not only just inclusive and diverse, but also we want a community that talks about the future. And I think Ocoee is doing that. I think we're well on that way. We are a very progressive community, and I love that about Ocoee. One of the other things that I would like to say is, as I move towards the future, I'll say, I want to be more involved with Ocoee. I want to do that, and I'm a hands-on kind of guy. I do not know how to dip my toe in the water. I just dive in, and that's just what I am. It's just the nature of who I am. Let me do that for you. I'm asking for you to vote for me for City Commission for District 1. And if there's any questions you have that I can answer to help you make a decision to cast that vote for me, by all means, you can reach out to me, and I'm sure that that's something that I will gladly answer. Thank you.
Commissioner.
Well, in closing, I was going to start reading off bulletins of the accomplishments, which would probably take 10 minutes if I was able to complete it all. However, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to touch on a few. I appreciate Mr. Brinson talking about how much he loves Ocoee and what's going on. I want to continue that. That is what we have done. That is what this commission up here has done. We're working in great unison. We are finally together over the many, many years of the bickering. We're working very well together. We're on a great road. I want to continue that. But two very important things that I want to talk about that's happening up in our community is we're getting a new fire station, a fully staffed fire station that's going to be between Publix and the school. We also do transportation ambulance service. That's what our fire department does now. That's what we do. And it's going to be a much quicker service to our people. And it's going to be a huge benefit. Fuller's Cross. How many have been in Fuller's Cross traffic? I think everybody. Even if you don't live up there, you have been. It is under design now. It took a tremendous amount of negotiating with the county. We came together and did it, especially with our leadership from the mayor. Helped out a lot, talking to their mayor. It's under design, and we expect it to be completed this year. The road, we have turn lanes, rights and lefts, in each corner. Traffic should go through just great. So if you like what you hear, if you like what's going on, I ask you to get out and vote for me to continue what we've been doing. I will not stop in any way, shape, or form, and effortlessly work in your behalf. Thank you. And thank Mr. Brinson. Thank you, Women's Club. I thank you for all the opportunity you've given us, and continue your good work.
Okay, this concludes tonight's forum. On behalf of the Women's Club, thank you to both candidates, to the audience, both here in the chambers and at home. We appreciate your attendance and participation in this opportunity to help our community make an informed and wise choice in the leadership of our city. Please remember to vote on March 12th. The voting location will be the Jim Beach Recreational Center from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you and have a good evening.